My parents sold my car behind my back to pay my brother's rent, so I moved out and watched them beg when he robbed them. I'm a 28-year-old guy, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the responsible one. The one who never caused trouble, who paid his own bills, who held the family together when things got tense. My younger brother Ryan was the opposite. Reckless, loud, and constantly in some kind of mess that needed fixing. He'd drop jobs faster than I could update my resume, and somehow our parents always made excuses for him. He just needs time, they'd say, as if time could magically turn a disaster into a man. Meanwhile, I worked my way through college with 2 jobs, morning shifts at a hardware store and late nights delivering food. I didn't have much, but when I finally saved enough to buy my own used car, it felt like freedom. The car wasn't just metal and wheels. It was proof that I'd built something for myself, without anyone's help. It was the first time I felt proud, like maybe I was finally out of Ryan's chaotic shadow. At family dinners, I'd quietly listen while my parents bragged about Ryan's potential. Not his actual achievements, just his potential. I'd smile through it, pretending it didn't sting because I was used to being invisible. Still, deep down I told myself it didn't matter. I had stability, a job, a car, a future. I thought that was enough. Then, one weekend, everything I'd worked for, every ounce of patience, every small victory, came crashing down. It happened quietly, without warning, and the people I trusted most were the ones who lit the match. I didn't know it yet, but that one betrayal would change how I saw my family forever. That car was my lifeline. It wasn't new or fancy, a 10-year-old sedan with a rattling dashboard and a stubborn air conditioner. But to me, it was independence on 4 wheels. Every dent, every scratch had a story behind it. I'd washed it by hand every Sunday, replaced the spark plugs myself, and even named it Luna, because it had been with me through every late-night drive home from work. That car represented freedom, not just to go wherever I wanted, but to live on my own terms, away from the chaos that always seemed to orbit my family. A few months back, I left Luna parked in my parents' driveway for the weekend. I was staying over at a friend's apartment to help him move, and I figured it was safer there than on a busy street downtown. It never crossed my mind that I'd come back to an empty space where she used to be. When I pulled into the driveway and saw nothing but cracked concrete, I actually thought I'd forgotten where I parked. My stomach twisted. "Mom," I called from the door, forcing a laugh. "Did Dad move my car?" Her voice trembled from the kitchen. "Honey, we had to make a quick decision." Something in the way she said had to make my heart start pounding. "What do you mean, quick decision? Where's my car?" She looked down at the floor, eyes glassy. "Ryan needed help. He's behind on rent again. We sold it. Just until things get better." For a second, I couldn't breathe. The walls felt closer, the air heavier. "You sold my car?" My voice cracked. "Without asking me?" She tried to touch my arm, whispering, "Please don't be angry, sweetheart. It was for family." But all I could see was the empty space in that driveway, and the years of sacrifice they'd just erased with one quick decision. I just stood there, staring at my mother like she'd spoken a foreign language. "You sold it?" The words came out broken, half-choked. My father walked in mid-conversation, holding a cup of coffee as if nothing had happened. "It was for a good reason," he said flatly, not even meeting my eyes. "Your brother was about to be thrown out of his apartment. We couldn't just watch him suffer." I took a shaky breath. "So you sold my car? The one I worked for? Without even calling me?" Dad sighed like I was being dramatic. "You're overreacting. It's family, son. We'll make it right." "Make it right?" I laughed bitterly. "With what money, Dad?" "Because that car was everything I had." Mom started crying, the kind of guilt cry that used to make me back down as a kid. "We had no other choice. Ryan promised he'd pay you back. You know he's been struggling. Ryan." Of course it was Ryan, the golden child who could burn the house down and still be handed the matches again. I grabbed my keys, the only thing left from what used to be mine, and clenched them so tight they left imprints in my palm. "You didn't sell my car to help him," I said quietly. "You sold me out to save him. My dad's voice hardened. Watch your tone. That car was parked on our property. We're your parents. We had a right. That line, we had a right, hit me like a gut punch. All those years of being the dependable son, the one who never asked for anything, and this was what I got in return. I turned toward the door, my voice shaking. Then I guess you don't need your responsible son anymore. As I stepped outside, I could still hear my mom sobbing behind me. But this time, I didn't turn back. I didn't make it past the porch before my father's voice thundered behind me. Don't you walk away when I'm talking to you. He stormed out, his jaw tight, veins visible on his temple. You think you're the only one who sacrifices in this family? We've done everything for you. I turned around slowly. Everything for me? You just sold the one thing I bought with my own money. He scoffed. You live under our roof. You've eaten our food. That car was parked on our property. Don't pretend you built your life alone. I felt my pulse pounding in my ears. You didn't build it either. I worked every damn shift to afford that car while Ryan partied and slept till noon. And you rewarded him for it. Again. My mom appeared at the doorway, crying into a tissue. Please stop fighting. We just wanted to help your brother get back on his feet. Ryan, the center of it all, finally showed up, leaning against the doorway like a spectator enjoying the show. You're really flipping out over a car, man? He said, smirking. Chill, I'll pay you back when I can. Like hell you will, I snapped. You've said that your whole life, Ryan. You never pay anyone back. You just drain everyone dry. His grin vanished. Watch it, or what? I stepped forward. You gonna steal something else from me? My dad moved between us, his face red. That's enough. You're not gonna talk to your brother like that in my house. And that was the moment it clicked. This wasn't my house. It never had been. It was their kingdom, and Ryan was the chosen heir. I stared at them all, the guilt, the anger, the twisted love, and felt something inside me finally snap. Then I'm done, I said quietly. I'm done being your backup plan. I walked to my room to start packing, their voices echoing down the hall like ghosts I was finally ready to leave behind. I packed my bags that night. Every drawer I emptied felt like peeling away a layer of obligation. Clothes, work files, the framed photo of me and my parents from graduation. I left that behind. I didn't want to carry memories that had turned into proof of lies. My mom knocked once, her voice trembling through the door. Please, don't leave angry. I paused, suitcase half-zipped. You sold my car, I said softly. I think I've earned the right to be angry. When I walked out, my father didn't even try to stop me. He just stood in the hallway, arms crossed, pretending this was all beneath him. You'll regret this, he muttered. Family doesn't abandon family. I turned back and met his eyes. You're right, but you abandoned me first. The drive to my new apartment, a tiny, half-furnished studio on the other side of town, was quiet. I borrowed a friend's truck to move my things, and the silence in the cab felt heavier than any argument. That night, I sat on the floor eating takeout straight from the box, staring at my phone lighting up with missed calls and guilt-laced texts. I muted the group chat and, for the first time in my life, didn't feel obligated to respond. Days turned into weeks. My parents kept calling, leaving voicemails that mixed apologies with manipulation. You're being immature. We just wanted to help your brother. Don't punish us for caring. I ignored them all, and yet the silence hurt in its own way. I wasn't used to peace. It almost felt wrong. But every morning I woke up to my own choices, my own space, my own quiet. It was painful, but it was mine. Still, I didn't know then that cutting them off wouldn't end the chaos. It was only the calm before the next storm. For months, I stayed no contact. It was strange. The quiet used to feel suffocating, but now it felt clean. No guilt, no drama, no late-night calls begging me to fix another one of Ryan's disasters. I focused on work, took overtime, and even started saving again. I thought maybe distance could finally rewrite the rules of our family, until my mom called from an unknown number one evening. Her voice cracked as soon as I picked up. Sweetheart, he's changed. Ryan's changed. Please, just come to dinner. He wants to make things right. Something in me wanted to believe her. Maybe she was right. Maybe this could be the start of something new. Against my better judgment, I agreed. That weekend, I drove back to my parents' house, a place that suddenly felt smaller, darker, like time had trapped it in guilt. Ryan was already there when I arrived, dressed better than I'd ever seen him. New watch, designer sneakers, clean haircut. He stood up with a rehearsed smile. "Hey man, I screwed up. I just wanted to say, sorry, I wanted to believe him. I really did. You sold my car, Ryan," I said quietly. "You think an apology fixes that?" He shrugged, flashing that old smirk. "I'm making money now. Legit business stuff. I can pay you back soon," Dad chimed in proudly. "He's finally turning things around. You should be proud of your brother." Something in Ryan's tone didn't sit right. His eyes darted whenever I asked questions. Later that night, a mutual friend texted me, "Don't believe a word he says. He's scamming people online. Fake product listings taking money up front." My stomach sank. They were being played again, but this time, they wanted me to applaud it. I looked across the table at my smiling family, all basking in the illusion of Ryan's success, and realized the silence I'd built wasn't peace. It was the eye of a hurricane, and the real storm was just beginning. After that dinner, I didn't say a word to my parents for weeks. I didn't even bother warning them about Ryan's scams. I'd done that song and dance before, the one where I'm the jealous brother who can't stand seeing Ryan succeed. So this time, I just watched from a distance. I poured everything into work, took a promotion that came with longer hours, and tried to fill the ache with progress. My apartment was still small, but it felt sacred. Quiet mornings, real coffee, no guilt hanging in the air. On weekends, I'd take drives just to feel the hum of the engine, something Ryan couldn't touch. I started to think maybe I could finally live my life without being pulled into their orbit. Then, late one night, my phone buzzed. Mom. I let it ring out. Then again. Then again. By the fifth call, I answered. Her voice was raw, panicked. "Please, you have to help us. Ryan's in jail. They say he's been arrested for fraud." I leaned back on my couch, heart pounding but not with surprise. Just exhaustion. "What do you expect me to do?" "Your father's losing his mind," she sobbed. "We need money for bail. Please, just this once." I stared at the ceiling, the irony almost laughable. They sold my car to save him, and now they wanted me to sell my peace to do it again. "I told you this would happen," I said quietly, "and I'm done cleaning up his messes." "Don't say that," she whispered. "He's your brother." "Not anymore," I replied. I hung up before she could say anything else, my hands trembling. But as the silence filled the room again, I realized something terrifying. I didn't feel guilt this time. I felt relief, and somehow, that scared me even more. It didn't take long for the fallout to begin. A week after that call, I got a text from my dad. Short, cold, and full of pride, pretending to be control. "We handled it. Don't bother yourself." But the truth trickled out anyway. Ryan hadn't just been arrested for some petty scam. He'd stolen thousands from people, including friends of the family. And worse, he'd been taking money from my parents' account for months. I heard the details from my aunt, who worked at their bank. Ryan had taken their credit cards, drained their emergency savings, and even pawned off my mom's jewelry, the ones she inherited from Grandma. When I asked why the bank didn't call sooner, she sighed. "Your mom said she gave him permission. She didn't want him to get in trouble." Permission. That word made me sick. I could picture her face, the same soft smile she always used when defending him, the one that said he just needs time. When I finally drove past their house again, just once from a distance, it didn't look like home anymore. The lawn was overgrown, the blinds drawn. The same driveway where my car had once sat now held Ryan's beat-up truck, repossessed and left like a tombstone for every bad decision they'd made. They called again that night. Mom, sobbing, her voice breaking every few words. "He's gone. He took everything, even your father's retirement money. We don't know what to do." I closed my eyes, feeling something heavy but calm wash over me. "You do what I did," I said softly. "You start over," she cried harder. "We were just trying to protect him." "I know," I said. You just never realized who you were hurting instead. I hung up before my voice could shake. For the first time, I didn't feel like their son. I felt like the ghost of who they wished Ryan had been. And it broke something in me I didn't think was left to break. It was late on a Sunday when they showed up at my apartment. No warning, no text, just the sound of desperate knocking. When I opened the door, I barely recognized them. My father, usually proud and rigid, looked smaller somehow, his shoulders slumped. My mother's face was red and swollen, like she hadn't slept in days. For a moment, I almost invited them in. Then I saw the look in their eyes. Not love, not remorse. Need. Please, my mom whispered, clutching her purse. We just need a small loan. Just to cover the debts Ryan left. We'll pay you back, I swear. I leaned against the doorway, trying to steady my voice. You sold my car to save him. You drained your own accounts to protect him. And now you want me to clean it up? My dad's tone snapped, the guilt quickly morphing into anger. Don't talk to your mother like that. We're your parents. You have a good job, Savings. I cut him off. You mean I have what you threw away? And now you think I owe you for it? My mother reached out to touch my arm. We were wrong, okay? We see that now. But please, we have nothing left. Her voice cracked on that last word. Nothing left. It echoed in my chest, but instead of sympathy, I felt the quiet sting of irony. You told me family doesn't abandon family, I said softly. But you did. The second you sold my trust. Dad clenched his jaw, his pride still fighting to survive even in ruin. You'll regret this. No, I said, stepping back inside and closing the door halfway. For once, I think I won't. I shut the door before either of them could answer, their voices muffled by the wood. On the other side, I stood frozen, heart heavy but not breaking. Just done. And for the first time I realized how silence can sound a lot like freedom. After that night, I thought I'd feel liberated, like closing that door would finally shut out years of guilt and resentment. But the silence that followed wasn't peaceful anymore. It was hollow. I'd come home from work, drop my keys on the counter, and the quiet would press against me like a weight. My phone stayed dark for days. No calls, no texts, no noise. And even though I was the one who wanted that silence, part of me hated how empty it felt. One night, around midnight, I got a voicemail from my father. His voice was rough, angry, but underneath it, I could hear the fear. You think you're better than us now? You sit there while we suffer. You're heartless. You've turned into someone I don't even recognize. I listened to it 3 times, then deleted it. But it stuck in my head for days, looping like a curse. I'd stare at my reflection brushing my teeth, wondering if he was right. Had I become cold, unforgiving, or was I finally just protecting myself? The guilt grew into something heavier than I expected. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I'd sit by the window at 3 a.m., staring at the city lights and thinking about how all of this, the anger, the distance, the betrayal, came from people who were supposed to love me the most. That was my rock bottom. Not because I'd lost them, but because I realized they were never really mine to lose. I'd spent my entire life trying to earn love that came with conditions. That night, I opened my laptop and started writing everything down. Every memory, every betrayal, every moment I'd swallowed my anger to keep the peace. And by the time I stopped typing, the sun was rising. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't healing. But it was the first time I felt like I was finally telling my story, not living theirs. Writing everything out became my therapy. Each word peeled away a layer of guilt I didn't realize I was still carrying. It hurt, reliving the nights I'd chosen silence over self-respect, but it also felt like breathing after being underwater for years. My therapist, a calm woman with kind eyes, told me something that stuck. You don't owe anyone access to you just because they share your blood. I repeated that line to myself every day until it started to feel true. I threw myself into work again, but this time it wasn't just survival. It was building. I got promoted to team lead, and with the raise I finally bought another car, newer, shinier, and fully mine. The first time I sat behind the wheel, the hum of the engine felt like a heartbeat, like freedom had come full circle. Still, the ghosts lingered. Some nights I'd catch myself scrolling through old photos. Birthdays, vacations, the rare smiles before everything went sour. I missed what should have been, not what was. That distinction became my anchor. One morning, I woke up to a message from my landlord offering a job opportunity in another city. A bigger role, better pay, and a clean slate. I didn't hesitate. Within a month, I packed up my apartment, handed in my notice, and drove out of town before sunrise. As the skyline disappeared in my rearview mirror, I didn't feel sad, just lighter. The silence in the car wasn't hollow anymore. It was mine. I knew I couldn't rewrite the past or fix what my family broke, but I could stop bleeding for people who never tried to stop the bleeding in me. And for the first time in years, I felt something dangerously close to peace. Months passed quietly after I moved. New city, new job, new rhythm. I didn't tell my parents where I'd gone. I didn't need to. The distance wasn't just miles. It was emotional. I built a small life that finally felt mine. Mornings with real coffee, evenings spent walking through unfamiliar streets without feeling the weight of old expectations. I was learning how to exist without waiting for someone else's approval. Then one night, I got an email from my mother. The subject line read, "Please read." For a long time, I just stared at it. My hands hovered over the keyboard, torn between curiosity and the urge to delete it. But I opened it anyway. It was short. No excuses, no guilt, no manipulation. Just 12 words that hit harder than any argument ever could. "We're sorry. You were right about everything. We finally see it." I read it twice, then again. My chest tightened, not from anger, but something else. A strange mix of relief and sadness. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. That single message was the closure I'd stopped hoping for years ago. The next morning, I took a long drive outside the city. The road stretched endlessly, painted gold by the sunrise. I rolled the window down, let the wind hit my face, and felt something I hadn't felt since the day I bought my first car. Pure, quiet freedom. People think closure comes from apologies or revenge, but sometimes it comes from finally being okay without either. I didn't forgive them out loud. I didn't need to. They'd finally faced the truth, and I'd finally built a life beyond it. As the horizon widened in front of me, I whispered to myself, "Never again." And for the first time, I knew I wasn't running from them anymore. I was driving toward myself,